I feel like my voice is like just so bad. I do not like how my voice sounds. But
Everyone
you
has
sound
that.
you sound great on this blue microphone, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, everyone I think hates their own voice because it sounds different through
yeah,
your own ears. Than
yeah,
so,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for coming on by and stuff, Matthew. So for everybody online, this I'm Joshua Angeli. This is my brother Matthew. So I've been working on this game called 11th Hour Hero, and what I've been trying to do is stream like every single week, a few times a week, and it's been hard to do like the two jobs of like streaming and developing at the same time. It feels like I'm just kind of being pulled in like two directions. So I figured I tried this new format, a podcast where I can actually just talk about my game development, bring more of the people of the community in as well. We'll try to pay attention to the chat, and hopefully, we do a better job here than what I've been doing in these Twitch streams and stuff. But yeah, ultimately, this is a way where, for me to like have like a more consistent voice and also like be able to like set up expectations, but also just share a little bit about like the inner workings and the inner minds of my mind and stuff. So
Nice.
yeah, I will say I did forget one thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got this Falcons hat here on this thing, but it's it's actually 28-3 today. So I have my Patriots hat, so I'm gonna just pop that one on here, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big Patriots fan, so you
Can't
know,
pass up an opportunity
yeah,
to
yeah.
push the 28-3.
Yeah, I know exactly. But yeah, I don't want to get too sidetracked and stuff. But I did, I was like, wait a second, it is 28-3 today. So
Nice, nice.
mm.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, let's dive into it. So you've been working on this 11th hour hero game, like a roguelike game. What's kind of been some of the progress you've made in the last couple weeks or so?
Yeah, so I'd say for the past couple of weeks, I'd say even like going to the past 3 weeks. So I went to the game developer conference. As you can see back here, I got this nice little bottle. And one of the projects that I did at GDC was this going through, talking to a bunch of people, and then I would just like slap a sticker on,
Nice.
based off of like all the things. So got like a lot of talked to a bunch of people, played a bunch of games and stuff, and it was a great experience. I even got to pitch 11th Hour Hero at GDC this year, which is something that I've never done like professionally. I've never pitched any of the games I've made. Well, at least not formally, kind of thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just something that just came out of the blue. I just was at this networking event, met this guy, and he was like, you know what, that sounds like an interesting project. Let's like, set up some time like tomorrow, like the next day, kind of thing, to like just get to know each other like a little bit more, kind of thing, and hear more about the project. So
Yeah.
uh, I at GDC, I brought a demo of my game, 11th Hour Hero, to San Francisco, and with the just to be able to like show that, okay, like I might talk a lot about my game, but I'm also a developer. I can build stuff out, and here's the vision that I have like built out, like, or at least in progress so far, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the pitch, the publisher was like, yeah, this thing still needs time to cook. Like it's good, but it's right now there is a couple other games that is very similar and does it a lot better because it's just they have like larger teams and a larger budget. And
Mm-hmm.
right now I'm just doing this solo dev. So there is still right now just trying to figure out what the next mechanic is going to be built in, the it factor for this game. So yeah, like basically GDC was there networking, had a great time, saw a lot of friends, pitched a project, all that stuff. Came back here, been super exhausted over this past week.
Yeah.
So I haven't. It's been like a lot more like thinking, a lot more like reflection over like GDC and the things that I feel like that I should be like moving on to next for this project. I did actually take a couple of notes. I've been when it comes to the if factor, I one of the games that I am heavily inspired by,
Mm-hmm.
or at least when it comes to this mechanic, is Faster Than Light. If
Okay.
you've played that game, you're the commander of this spaceship, and you like it's kind of like Star Wars, where like the plans to defeat like the evil Federation. So you need to get all the way to the other side of the galaxy, let a bunch of other people know, and then you challenge the big ball, like the Star Destroyer, whatever thingy.
Yeah.
And while you do that, you're also grabbing weapons, grabbing different abilities to power yourself up, kind of thing, right? So very similar, I
Hmm.
guess, in that framework, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it's played differently. It's a 2D game. You're managing your crew essentially. But what I really liked about that game was that every single fight that you do is a choice. Like so, you can have it where you fight against an enemy or you encounter an enemy, but it's like depowered. It's like not turned on. It's like a scout, but it's for whatever reasons just like not active. So you could either completely ignore it, or you could get closer to try to like scrap some materials, or like download some data, kind of thing, right? And get some more resources. But that introduces a risk because you could either be completely successful and get away scot free, picking up these resources, or you could activate the enemy, and then you have to go into a fight at that point. And then in
Oh,
that
okay.
way, you could get hurt. Like a whole bunch of things could happen at that point. And so that's just like one example of like a thing that can happen in these encounters. You could, the enemy could be already powered up, but could surrender like halfway through the battle, be like, oh, like please, like, I don't want to die. Like, like,
Hmm.
here's some resources, and
Yeah.
hey, like, and let us live, kind of thing. Like, and it's still your choice to like either like completely continue fighting or to like just take the olive branch at that point. So I think those are like good scenarios where I'm like, those are things where I think that kind of tests like how good of a person you are slash how good of a hero you are, and just you like and you have that as a way to like test out your morality, kind of thing, instead of just having it where it's just like quick twitch, like, oh, let me just move the mouse, like, a little bit over here and just hit the mouse click kind of button to like point and shoot at enemies.
Yeah.
um yeah, and like in that, and in a group setting too, like that might introduce like maybe like you would be okay taking the olive branch, but maybe a friend or or somebody else wouldn't want that, right? Or maybe you're like running low on resources and stuff. So it's like, okay, like you would like to accept a surrender, but if you do that, for a fact that you're not going to be able to fight the boss basically at that point. So at that point, like, what do you do, kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
like those kind of like decisions that I think would make the game like a little bit more fun, because it's not just a testing your skill, but testing, uh, the I don't know, I guess the conviction a little bit of like of the
Hmm.
mission that you're on, right? Um, but it's still one of those things where I'm like, that like it's like a first. I think it's a good next step. But I'm not sure if like even that is like completely the final like if factor that I think this game needs.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the game is still in the early stages, and taking a step back, you're trying to make like a roguelike, right? But in VR and multiplayer, right?
Hmm.
So that's kind of like the big kind of like buzzwords around the game, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot that goes into it, right? And you want to, it's a game that's supposed to be replayed a lot,
Hmm.
so you need to figure out how to have a game where you can get like better at the gameplay, but yet it's always going to be fresh because there's always going to be like a repetitive kind of nature to it.
Right.
So yeah, were there any other like insights you got talking to people at GDC? You've already mentioned some things that you're like thinking about other comparative or whatever games that are similar that you're like thinking of like introducing maybe some similar mechanics.
Yeah.
But are there any other things that you're thinking about to like try to keep your game like fresh, new, like have that it factor?
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of like AI stuff. So actually, one of the best talks I went to at GDC was talking about 1001 Nights. So essentially, they had like LLM, like the language learning model or whatever,
Yeah.
as like a core gameplay mechanic. So
Oh,
you're
okay.
like, basically you are a princess and you're trying to convince the king not to do like this evil action, and
Hmm.
the king will only listen to stories, that won't listen to like arguments or logic or anything like that. So you gotta like weave like a pretty good story together. Now the king is basically just an LLM. It's whenever you tell a story, it's making a call to like some sort of cloud LLM thing. It comes back and it could either be like, okay, yeah, this story does not make sense, or you're speaking like a bunch of gibberish, like
Hmm.
you failed and I'm doing this evil action, or the king is like, you're right, okay, like this is like, okay, I see this story, and then it will also like create like a whole nother like, oh, it kind of like creates like a whole nother situation, like scenario, like within that told story.
Okay.
And ultimately, you're trying to get the king to like formulate a weapon that you can then use against the king to fully stop the king, kind of thing. So
Oh,
it's like
nice.
you're using the LM to basically generate like a weapon for you. And so I think, so that's something where like the LLMs is actually like a good way to like allow the players to be like a little bit more creative. And I actually went to like another talk where people were like also where LLMs were also like another core mechanic, and it's just even when the LLMs are like not that great, just the like having the players have the ability to like really uh, be more creative with either like the responses or just like interact with the game in a way that not other games like allow, I think is a good thing. And so that's like got me thinking, like one of the experiments I did at GDC
Hmm.
was I kept a running log of all the actions that people could do in the game. So
Oh
going
wow.
into
Okay.
rooms, leaving rooms, picking up abilities and picking up items, and then seeing, and then like when the boss attacks, right, you could see like how much damage it did to you versus how much damage you do to it, kind of thing. And then I had you fed that into Google Notebook LM, and that spat out like a pretty good like summary of like just like all the actions that you did and tried to
Hmm.
tell a good story. It's one of those things where I'm like, I think it did a better job telling a story than I think I would have, and I've seen everybody like do these ones and stuff. And so like not everybody did did it the fastest way. In fact, nobody was like really that fast, but that wasn't
Okay.
really the point. The point was to see, okay, if I get these actions from the one, can I get the LLM to like be able to tell like a good story based off of it? I think it's the answer is yes. So I think if there's like a way where I can like use that as a way to summarize like all your runs and then have like a thing just even just tell you like, okay, like here's what you did last time, here's what the enemies are going to do this time, kind of thing, right? Or
Yeah.
like adjust some things within the game based off of the things that you did previously. I think that would be cool, and having that in a descriptive way, having it like super personalized as well. And so the only thing is like this is you're still kind of like not interact with the LLMs. The LLMs is basically just doing like a whole nother like some system behind it, kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
Where it's just kind of like it's more of like a director at that point than anything. So, but I am inspired by these couple of games I saw. I do think there is an opportunity to make it where you could actually have like infinite endings, um, based off of just all the actions that you do within the multiple runs of this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be a good idea because with roguelikes, you go through the game a lot of times, right? And because you go through like a lot of the same interactions again, there's not always like a super fleshed out like tutorial for everything
Mm-hmm.
because it's just like you kind of just like get the experience. But if you can integrate a way that could give people like, personalized feedback, like you're kind of like covering up that what some people may think is like a problem with the genre.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very interesting topic though.
Yeah.
So about these demos that you had people doing, were there anything that people did that like surprised you? When people were going through the demo and the game for the first time.
Hmm. I don't think so. Honestly,
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I feel like the thing is like the demo itself is still very early, right? Like
Hmm.
there's like no ceiling. So I guess that maybe the one thing that I was a little bit surprised was that nobody really told me that like there was like that they didn't notice that there was like that there wasn't a ceiling
Yeah.
in this demo. But then I actually, I talked to a person. I was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm surprised nobody said this." And then he was like, "Oh well, I noticed it, but I just didn't say it." And so I'm like, so then I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. Like, is it that nobody like noticed it, or did everybody notice it? But they were like, okay, like, they already have like something in their mind, being like, okay, yeah, I'm just not gonna say this because obviously, like this is like a prototype kind of thing, right? Like
Uh-huh.
this is obviously just a work in progress thing that's not there. So
Yeah.
I think in that sense, like I feel like a lot of people got the gist of it. I was actually a little surprised about like some people just have not really held a controller before. So some people like could not shoot because the right stick was very sensitive, and that's like was a known thing going ahead of this thing, right? But there was a lot of people too that could actually handle it pretty well.
Yeah.
So I feel like I think going ahead, I also when I do have a build of this game up available, I want to get statistics on who's playing this with a mouse and keyboard versus who's playing
Yes.
this with a gamepad, so that way I can get some feedback and figure out like even just use that as a way to prioritize. Hey, like do I want to make sure this game feels better on mouse and keyboard first or on gamepad first?
Nice. 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 Okay, so we've talked a little bit about GDC, your demo, kind of like the genre, some of the things that you got from talks there. So, what are kind of like your next steps right now? Like, what are your takeaways from GDC? What do you, has your whatever roadmap changed a little bit since you went? What are you
Mhm.
trying to work on right now for this game?
Yeah, so I already mentioned a little bit. I actually wrote this down too, because I spent I think Wednesday just really just trying to like think about this basically. But yeah, so I think the my number one priority is to get a build up available like ASAP, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, just like there's this platform called itch.io, and I think it would be like a really good testing grounds. Like I have this Discord, which, by the way, people watching this podcast should join the 11th Hour Hero Discord. I think it's actually just called Angeli Studios because I use it as a way to encapsulate like all the apps that I build and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, you should join that Discord so that way you can get access to this build. But yeah, getting a build up there uh, early so that way I can just get more feedback. Like I feel like, I quit my job in late January, and it's been 2 months at this point, and so it's one of those things where I'm like, part of me is just like, okay, maybe like it's okay to like not have like a build out like this early kind of thing, but there's also a part of me that's like was thinking that I would have had to build out at at
Mm-hmm.
this point too. But yeah, getting I think something where like people can play and really kind of like decipher themselves like what state this is in, I think would be good. And ultimately, I need to build out so that way I can actually like ask for help, like legitimately kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that from GDC, there's a part of me that was like, I think that was good that I, I've been doing this on my own and just like trying to like show people what I got. But there's also a part of me that was like, okay, like I could have like recruited like, somebody that knows music really well, somebody that knows sound really well, somebody that's like a 3D artist, so that way I'm not relying on like third party assets essentially. Right? There's like a part of me that could have recruited like a bunch of people and could have like really had something great, and then like at GDC could have like actually like legitimately pitched to people, pitched to publishers, and like try to get like a little bit of momentum there, right? And so I'll just say GDC was great because I could get these connections, but I do think like getting a build and being able to like recruit people, I think is actually like going to be a really important like next step. Uh, just being in the like in the position where I can ask for help and I can like direct people as needed, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Part of this podcast is is to like be able to like get to a place where like when I'm showing more like I can ask for help, but also just asking help from you too, kind of thing, and
Yeah.
just having you like come in and just where we could just like talk back and forth, kind of thing. Right? I think
Mm-hmm.
it's been this has been like really helpful to me.
Yeah.
So so thank you for taking your time off of this Friday kind of thing. Like, even though
Mhm.
we'll just be playing melee at this point anyway, like
Yeah,
after
yeah.
work,
This
it's
is.
just Friday after five,
Hey, we're trying to
Mm,
start out our podcast career, so.
Yeah,
This is what
exactly.
everyone dreams of
Those are
doing,
the
in their
reads.
free time
Yeah,
or
yeah,
for their daily lives. So
yeah, yeah. It's just like just like just hanging out with the boys kind of thing, right?
yeah,
With a beer or something like that. Um, yeah, just having something to like build around with and stuff. But yeah, so having a build out there is really important, and so I think for me to do that, I definitely need to get like a leaderboard, and be able to like I have at GDC I was able to save all these runs, all the data and stuff, but I only got to save it like onto like this machine here kind of
yeah,
thing. Like I need to find a way to be able to get people to upload their runs, or at least the
yes, yeah,
data, to a place so that way I can actually get like some sort of AI to like analyze it too,
yeah.
and try to do that like I guess with like permissions and ethics and all that stuff as well.
Hmm.
So that's like the number one thing, or the number couple of things I feel like I need to do. But after that, I think I want to like dive into more of like the procedurally generation part of these layouts.
Yeah.
So I mentioned about the enemies, like depowered states of like these enemies and stuff from Faster Than Light. So I
Hmm.
want to have like a room where you enter it and you see all these enemies, but they're all like depowered. But there's like a computer at like the back of the room kind of thing, right? And you go up to it and it's like, okay, like do you need to get to this other room but it's locked, right? Do you like go to this back of this computer to like grab the key kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Or do you like let it be kind of thing, because it could be something where like you might rake up all the enemies in that room if you try to like extract the key from that computer. Like it could be like a give or take or something like that, just
Hmm.
something like a little bit of a risk, something that I like kind of like question, or like even be like something where like okay, maybe somebody finds it and then you have your team, but that they're like some other room, so that you need to like get them to come over to help you out kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like having like a room like that would be cool, and then having like another like regular enemy room where you are just like it's just you fighting against these enemies and getting like some sort of like reward out of that kind of thing, whether that
Hmm.
be like a power up, a weapon, or maybe like some currency or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I think having a merchant would be great as well, like a place where you can like buy like if you like a particular weapon but you haven't seen it yet, you could buy it from the merchant,
Hmm.
or like a different ability, or even or maybe even just like health items, like I guess you lost health, like
Yeah.
throughout the one kind of thing. Um, yeah, and then like we already have like an armory room, but having that like a little bit more like looking good kind of thing, right? And then like a rest area where it's just like gives you like stuff, or like a place like a reprieve kind of thing. Uh, before you get to the space elevator room and go challenge the boss kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think getting those in line. I think of those rooms, I think the depowered enemy room is actually probably the most important one, because that's the one that's going to actually test out like that it factor that I'm thinking of from Faster Than Light. If it turns out I add in that room and like that's not the it factor, then like that's okay. That just means I gotta experiment around more with what other things to add in
Yeah.
to this game. But I think that's like the first one to add in at this point.
Yeah. No, I think that's the right move to do. I think with this game, like you've got like a lot of good ideas, right? And I think you're trying to focus on like there's the mechanics part of a roguelike where it's kind of like the gameplay loop, like how fast, how well can you defeat enemies and like in each room or like level and stuff like that, as like people get harder and harder to kill.
Mm-hmm.
But then I like the idea of also like you're introducing like intuitive decisions for the gamer to make. It's like, oh, should I risk getting this key to get this like good item, but then having to maybe fight like 20 more enemies and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And I think always the more that, yeah, the gamer can basically like make decisions and like basically like change how their run is,
yeah,
like because you already have the procedurally generated things that are going to make the run different each time.
yeah.
Enemies are going to be slightly different places each time, right?
Mm,
There's already like a repetitive but different nature of it, but varying nature of it. And
yeah,
so, but the more that you can have the gamers then have to decide like their own fate essentially,
yeah,
I think um that is like a really good idea to keep on following.
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah, but a lot of things you mentioned, a lot of things to do, so it's like you definitely got your plate full
Yeah,
coming up.
exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, the cool thing is that I am working on this full time, right?
Hmm.
So I don't think I'm going to be able to like get all through all those things like within like the next week or so. But we'll, hopefully, the next time that we talk, I can actually share a little bit more about all the things that I've done like recently, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Idea would be like it'd be cool if you could actually like play like another build kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
So I think that would be cool. The other thing is like coming up is my birthday,
Yeah.
April 19th and stuff. So pretty excited about that. I don't know if like should we like we haven't really even talked about it. Should we like actually host like a party here like at the apartment?
I think definitely. And if you remember, last year at your birthday party was kind of like the like introduction to the game. It's
Yeah,
like the first, let's say, like the first demo you really had,
yeah,
because you went to GDC last year and you showed off like a trailer for a game. You
yeah,
had
yeah,
enough material to make a trailer, but there wasn't like a lot of the game like that you could really like kind of go into and
yeah,
dive into. Um, but you did have it by the time you had your birthday last year, and that was kind of like people's first experience with the game. Um, at least fighting the boss and stuff like that.
yeah.
That was outside of like me and our other brother Steven. So yeah, I mean, I think yeah, let's do another birthday party. I think it's another good opportunity to show people the progress you've made and like it's a good captive audience, but in a good way.
Yeah.
They're all very
Yeah, and
supportive.
they have to play my game and they have to say good things about it, or otherwise
Yeah.
they'll make me sad 32-year-old man.
That's
Yeah,
their birthday.
yeah,
People don't come and bring a birthday gift anymore. They come and
yeah.
you make them play your game and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But that's not so bad.
Yeah,
Plus, we
I
make a
make them
cake for them
wish list my
also.
game. I make them join my
Yeah.
Discord kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I what was actually really awesome last year. So one of the reasons why there was a lot of reasons why I actually like dove into this game kind of thing. Like some of it is because I really do believe that some like for me being able to build something that other people can enjoy is really important to me.
Hmm.
And I feel like just in my career kind of thing, right? Like I feel like I was kind of like getting like farther and farther away from that. So I left my job so that way I could actually get closer to actually providing like like I'm the more I can make other people like enjoy themselves and have fun, the more happier I am, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at the cruel part of that coin is that when people are not having a good time, I feel mega bad because I'm like, damn, I'm like I like nobody's having fun. But so what was really good about last year's party was I just remember because it was also like literally just in this room as well. Um, I had one person playing on that computer, which is like over there. Like if Matthew can turn his like a hole his
Yep.
head
Right
around
here
right there.
behind us.
Oh yeah, wait a second. I can we never actually went into like these different camera viewpoints and stuff, but yeah, we got like another camera, and so this is just this camera is sitting right on top of my big like main desktop and stuff. But yeah, so yeah, what was really great was one person was playing on that computer, the other person was playing on the VR headset, and I it was like teaching them the controls and all that stuff, right? And then I got the phone call that somebody else was at the door of the complex and needed help getting up. So I'm like, okay, like stay put. I'm gonna go ahead and pick these people up, right? And so when I came back, these two people had actually switched places, right? The other person put on the headset, and then they taught each other like how to actually play the game, and then they were just like they had already been the boss, and they were like, okay, we're gonna go beat the boss like again,
Yeah.
and they were doing this without me actually even being in the room
Yeah.
either. And so I thought that was like the sign I needed. That was the sign that I was just like, okay, yeah, like this, there was like actually something here about like, especially in VR. I don't even think I mentioned this game is in VR, right? But like being able to see like the big boss like in that like sand arena, right? It's
Hmm.
kind of like Wind Waker with that Mojara boss kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
except that
Yeah.
like you're like actually in it kind of thing, right? You're like trying to like dodge this thing. And so last year I only had it do like one attack. So now it can actually do like multiple attacks, but like now you can actually, as avatars, you can actually like see yourselves like, and you guys like, people actually look a lot cooler in this game now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you also have like these procedurally generated levels. So there's a lot more to show this year. But yeah, last year was, I think was really helpful in that that gave me the confidence to really be like, okay, like, yeah, this is a thing that people can have fun with. So let's make sure that, it's not like you're this more than to just fighting the boss, but there's like a whole journey to actually get there and
Yeah.
to continuously work on it, right? But yeah, I think there's still a lot of work to do, and I think you know I'm not even sure exactly what the goal is for this birthday party thing.
Mhm.
But it's funny because there's this party, there's birthday party that I want to do, and then there's like this other siege event going on in
Mhm.
Doraville, Georgia. That's also on April 19th. But I think personally, I think I kind of want to have like a personal thing where it's just like I have
Yeah.
like a bunch of my friends come in and try this out, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, having playtesters is invaluable, and every time we talk about the game and stuff like that, I think you always have a lot of really good ideas, and I personally like roguelikes, so it's like, just basically talking about a roguelike with like all these ideas that are like kind of spread out in other games, but also not necessarily quite like this game because I
Mm,
I don't play VR roguelike, so like
yeah.
this is already just going to be different
Uh huh.
than what I've done. Like it always gets me excited, and I think it's about just like executing these ideas well, and I'm sure not everything we talk about is going to make it into the final version,
Hmm.
but then there's going to be some things that we don't talk about that make it into the final version. So
Yeah.
I'm always very excited when we like talk about it and think forward about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just about basically slowly like chunking away at those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like I feel like I'm actually pretty decent at keeping things like pretty practical, but
Hmm.
also trying to innovate as well. So
Yeah.
like a lot of the big innovations is like already there, which is like it's a multiplayer roguelike. That's usually like not a pairing that you see uh out there, but I have in this game and VR, right? So just all three of those things already make it like pretty unique.
Yeah.
But I do think there's just coming from GDC, there's a lot of indie developers at this point. A lot of
Hmm.
it forced indie developers because this has been like a lot of layoffs from like a lot of
Yeah.
these game industry jobs. And I do think roguelikes does kind of have like a rap of like, oh, because it's like a replayable thing, like that means like you kind of like have the campaign of it like on the shorter side kind of thing, right? Because
Yeah.
it kind of going do that a lot, right? But I think there's a lot of challenge when it comes to like balancing, making sure that each run is like actually like really fun as well. Having like a lot of these like different combinations and synergies as well, balancing and stuff. So I think there's a lot of challenges there. But I do think like maybe like it's one of those things where maybe it's easy to like start up to build, but hard to like actually master.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of things that will take a lot of fine tuning for sure. But I think the benefit you have is that, yeah, you don't need to make a 10-hour campaign. Like, you actually only really need to make like a small amount of it,
Mhm.
like feel really good, and then just kind of keep on extending it naturally.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, time will tell. Like how exactly all these things will shake out. Was there anybody you want to shout out before we start like winding this down? Anything you want to tell the fans?
Yeah, so I am working on a itch.io build. Maybe I shouldn't even say that because I'm like, uh, it's more like a, it's more of a, this is, it's a secret.
Yeah.
Only playtesters will know about this thing. But I
Okay.
am trying to get one out there just so that way people can play. So, honestly, if you guys want more updates about this game, you should follow me on Blue Sky. I'm also on Twitter as well. I try to, at this point, I don't know which one is actually more like popular for people kind of thing, right? But
Hmm.
I do not like Elon Musk, so so I do want to stay off Twitter and stuff, but I do keep both of those like pretty well updated on when I'm like streaming and like when updates like become available and stuff. So follow me there. You'll see those links on like all the podcast like descriptions and stuff on either Twitch or on YouTube. Which I feel like this has been a pretty good podcast. I feel like we can actually upload this thing. What up?
Yeah.
Right? I guess we'll see. I'll have to take a look and make sure that the audio actually comes out well. I'm
Hopefully.
assuming it is, but who knows what happened in the middle of this thing, right? And then yeah, join the Discord. There will be a Discord link that you can go in and get invited into and stuff. I would love like people's feedback and just an excitement kind of thing. Because I'm really excited about building this thing. I'm excited for people to have fun with it, and I hope everybody here gets to play and enjoy this game too.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. This has been an amazing, fun time. This is first podcast, so this is, I literally just asked Matthew, like, yeah. So yeah, the actually, okay. I know we're up like it's been like a half an hour and stuff like that. But it was just at GDC, I made this AI podcast for the top 3 speed ones for
Yeah.
the GDC thing, and one person was just like, oh yeah, like it'd be cool, I'm not sure like how many people like AI stuff. Like people are like a little tired. Like it might be better if you just like talked a little bit about it, or just like had your voice to it, kind of thing. Like I'm like, okay, like you know what? Like I'm not sure if I agree with the AI thing, only because the AI stuff can be okay, right? But I do agree that like being able to like talk to the community like this, I think is actually like a very good thing too. So I kind of like want to do both and see like what people actually gravitate to at this point. Hopefully they gravitate towards us. But I don't know. I mean, like the AI stuff, is all the Studio Ghibli stuff that's been coming out.
Yeah.
It's a little scary. It's a like, not gonna lie. But yeah, there's that. And then my friend Zach also was like wondering if I was going to do like game dev logs and stuff. And like I said before, I feel like every single time I think about during like a devlog, I just think about all the amount of work that I need to do of just coming up with a script and then coming up with all the footage. And that's why I do the Twitch streaming stuff too, right? But at this point, it's been a couple months in, and I'm like, the more I delay during that devlog thing, the more I get overwhelmed essentially. So I think I'm not sure about devlogs, but I feel pretty good about this podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think with that, I think we're good to go at this point. It's Friday night. It's we've got plenty of games to play and all that stuff, and things to dream of. And so I think with that, we're gonna sign off and stuff. But thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah, great for you to be here and stuff like that. Yeah. So, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. All right, cool, awesome. All right, everybody, have a great night. Yeah.